Now, from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Welcome to Sports Tonight on this Friday, this beautiful football last Friday of 2023.
I can't believe that.
I'm sports producer Scott Pennyman here with the great Ellie. How you feeling on this Friday? Last Friday of 2023.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Well, look, it's always we got some real cool stuff here. Obviously, we're going to talk about the year that was in sports and some of the great moments of 2023 and everything like that. What to look ahead for in 2024. We'll talk some bold predictions and everything like that. But let's start talking about, obviously, we have a couple big football games here this weekend.
Yep.
UGA in the Orange Bowl. We got our whole crew with Lee and Emily and those guys down there with UGA as they prep to battle what's left of Florida State, right? I mean, I call them the artists formerly known as Florida State because half their team
really they're battling the 2024 Florida State Seminoles.
That's a good point. That's a good point though, because a lot of those guys who will be playing for Florida State are guys who are going to be featured next season. They'll be getting their feet wet this year, so I'll probably see a lot of freshmen and sophomores and everything like that in that game.
Yep.
And then obviously the Falcons will be a big road game. They actually have a couple road games here to end the season as they, I guess I want to call it on playoff life support, right?
Yeah, pretty much. These two games against the Bears in Chicago and the Saints in New Orleans are more or less playoff games for the Falcons. They got to win these games, they still need help to get into the playoffs, even if they win out.
It's the unfun position of not controlling your own destiny. But they played themselves into it, right?
Yeah, it's almost like you should beat the Panthers.
So, well, right, of course. Well, there's that game. That'll be one of the ones they'll look back on. But first, let's hit UGA a little bit first, right? Because a lot of people have been talking about this bowl game and how it sparked up a lot of controversy the whole week, right? Because people were saying, should some of these guys play in the bowl game? Are they pouting? Are Florida State's guys pouting for not making the college football playoff? I guess finally, before the game starts tomorrow, what's your final take on that?
Final take is I understand why they sat out. You know, I'd be a bit down too
For sure.
If I was an undefeated ACC champion and I was left out in favor of, a one-loss Pac-12, one-loss SEC champion.
Just doesn't seem fair.
It doesn't seem fair. So I get why a lot of these guys, especially the guys like Jalen Verse or somebody
Keon Coleman,
guys who are going to be high draft picks
For sure.
in the NFL,
For sure.
sitting out. So I get it. Do I necessarily agree with it? The Orange Bowl is still a bowl game with a lot of history. It's still a major New Year's Six bowl, and at least for me, I would want the pride of saying I at least played in one. So
yeah.
I don't. For some guys, I agree because you want to protect yourself, you want to protect your draft stock, prepare for the combine,
hurt your knee or nothing.
But I would want to play in the bowl game.
I think the luster of some of these bowl games is fading, right? I talked about it a couple times this week. I think when you had the college football playoff come in,
yeah.
I think what that did a lot of was it takes away a lot of the relevance of the other bowls.
Especially with the 14 playoff. With the 12-team playoff starting next year, I think it's going to be very different.
For sure.
Because you're going to have all the New Year's Six bowls in the playoff.
Oh, right.
So
they'll matter more.
They'll matter more,
yeah. But for right now, I just think a lot of these kids, especially in the world we live in today, where you've got to prove to them that it's relevant enough for them to give their to put their bodies on the line, like you said, especially some of these draft prospects.
Yeah.
They're not going to go out there and put it all on the line in a bowl game
and risk injury and risk
for what
tanking
really
their draft stock, losing a ton of money in the draft. They're not going to do that.
And it's really what it's become is really a glorified exhibition, right? Because it's not really whether you win this game or lose this game.
This game in particular is a glorified exhibition just because you've had so many Seminoles drop out.
Right. And all you get is like a cup, right, if you win. I mean, it's not – look, if they really want to make this big, if they really want to maybe bring the interest back in some of these games. This is 2023, almost 2024. You got to put money into the equation, right? So I think that
Sure, why not?
At this point,
look at the NBA in-season tournament.
exactly.
Guys fought because there was money on the line.
I'm just saying, if there's multi hundreds of millions of dollars involved in a lot of these bowl games, and if you want to make some of these bowl games relevant again, why not give each player, hey, if you win this game, here's $5,000 or $10,000. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but I mean, just some sort of incentive to want to go and play this football game, because right now, like I said, a lot of these guys, there's no relevance to this game.
Right.
So I think for where we're at right now, with NIL and everything,
there's got to be
a cash incentive, some incentive, either a championship or some sort of cash incentive that these kids will want to play in a bowl game, because right now they're just not seeing a point.
Yeah, and even then, with the cash incentive for high round draft picks, it's, do I want
Still may not be worth it. Right.
Is it worth it to
Probably
take
not.
this money, risk an injury, versus the money I get going into the NFL and signing a rookie contract?
Yeah, it's probably not going to be worth 25 or 30 million.
No.
Guaranteed.
It won't be.
No, it won't be that kind of money. But hey, well, I guess quickly jump from the guys who are trying to get paid to the guys who are getting paid. This Sunday, the Falcons in Chicago to take on your Chicago Bears. Notice how I did that, like Ray Clay, the announcer with the Bulls. Your Chicago Bulls. Now it's your Chicago Bears. No, but I don't know if I would call this a winnable game for the Falcons. I mean, I guess it better be a winnable game, because if they lose, they're going home.
It's a winnable game. Trust me, as a Bears fan, this team never fails to disappoint me.
Those folks up in Chicago have like a love-hate relationship with Justin Fields.
Yes,
I've seen
absolutely.
I've seen it on both sides. I've seen people who really feel like he's gotten a raw deal up in Chicago, and they really feel like that he's played well, or at least as well as he could have possibly played. And then I see people who are like, you know what, this isn't going to work out. That's kind of the side I'm on right now.
Yeah,
I think
I'm in the middle, where it's like he's done as well as he possibly can do, but it's not going to work.
Right. That's kind of where I am. I think a change is needed for both parties. I think a change is needed for the Bears, and I think a change is needed for Justin Fields, because I think Justin Fields is going to be a really good quarterback. I think he can be a really good quarterback one day.
We've seen flashes of that throughout his NFL career. We've seen flashes of, the reason he was the number 10 pick.
Yeah, we've seen flashes. We just haven't seen it enough, right? It's like I always tell my friends, I joke around with them, and I say, about every fourth or fifth game, Justin Fields looks special.
Yeah.
He looks like, wow, this is why you took him.
That's about the cadence of him looking special, is that every fourth or fifth game, it just all comes together.
Right. And last week, when we're talking about the Falcons' offense looked pretty special, as they scored touchdowns in 7 out of 10 drives against the Colts, scoring almost 30 points, 29 points. And they dominated that football game last week against the Colts. I was right there on the field. I saw the energy in the building. I saw the offense looking really, really crisp. And Taylor Heineke, who took over at quarterback, he did a pretty good job of just basically being the bus driver.
Yep.
Distributing the ball, getting it where it had to go.
Didn't need to do much.
No. And I think that's what was missing from this offense, right? I think at this point, they're just resigned to the fact of, let's just get a guy who can just distribute the football. He doesn't have to be great, doesn't have to look great.
Just distribute the football and doesn't turn it over.
Right. And I think that's exactly that's what Heineke did. And I think that's what they're looking for moving forward. Well, that's what they're going to have to look for in these last 2 games, until you can't really make any changes, any real drastic changes at the quarterback position until the season ends. But I think for these last 2 games, in order to give them a chance, I think their formula is going to be run the ball. Even saw there was even a Cordero Patterson sighting. Hadn't seen that guy in weeks, it seems like. And he carried the ball on one drive, I think about 3 or 4 straight times. So I think that's what we're going to see up in Chicago this weekend. I think they're going to probably only throw the ball maybe about 20, 22, 23 times. I think they're going to beat people over the head with the running game. Bijan, Tyler Algier, and Cordero Patterson, and I think they'll throw the ball when necessary. So, and I was out there a couple days ago. Taylor Heineke was talking about a lot of that. He was talking about, look, I just need to be able to avoid turnovers. He kept hitting that over their head, talking about avoiding turnovers and everything, and I think he understands that's the formula, and that's why he's in there. As a matter of fact, you don't have to believe what I'm saying about it, right? You don't have to believe me. Listen to Taylor Heineke for yourself, and there's a certain calmness about him, which sort of, I think, makes the guys around him believe that he can, I guess, deliver. Check it out.
And again, that doesn't matter unless we go out there and win against Chicago. So, our sole focus is on that.
And then just moving forward, you all were able to score on 7 of the 10 possessions. What were some of the things you want to, maybe work on and, turn some of those field goals into touchdowns?
Yeah, again, it's when you get down the red zone, you want to score, and obviously there was that one where I kind of threw it to Bijan a little late. He didn't get his second foot down. Unfortunately, that didn't bite us late in the game, but those are opportunities that we want to capitalize on in the future. So just continue to work on it, get better at it, and hopefully we can turn those field goals into touchdowns this week.
And then people want to know if you're okay after the blocking experiment there, and then running into the net also.
Yeah, the blocking experiment was different. Like I said before, I wasn't anticipating doing that on Sunday, but it was fun. I didn't see the clip till after the game, and I didn't know I put him on his butt, so that was pleasing. And then Bijan ran me over, so that was good. But then, running into the net, I saw the big Gatorade cooler there, and I saw the net, so I decided to just dive into the net instead of taking on the cooler.
It looked like you took on both of them.
Yeah, I try to avoid the coolers as much as possible. I wouldn't have won that battle.
Arthur called it dramatic.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was there some level of acting and trying to get a flag there?
I was definitely trying to bait him into something. I'm glad he didn't put his helmet down and blast me. So, there's a little game to be played at quarterback when it comes to that stuff, but I'm just glad I wasn't injured.
Like you said, you dove for the net. There's a giant metal pole there, too.
Well, the pole moved, the cooler not so much, so I felt like that would have been an easier landing going to the net.
I know I asked you on Friday and Sunday about the Jordans, and you posted, are those the Jordans you're going to have?
Well, yeah, I bought those. They should be coming in today. Friends and family are saying a bunch of people are pissed off because they're not technically Jordans, but they're Nike Air Forces, so off-white, so excited to get those and wear them this week.
What if it was saying that they may be off-brand, and you want us to check them?
No, they're good. Yeah.
Tim, run 39 possessions as a starter, so you guys have scored on over half of them. Why is this offense been able to be so efficient when you're running the show?
I don't know. I haven't really looked into that. Again, my job right now is to go out and get first downs and score some points. So I haven't really looked at that, but I think we just do a good job. As long as we don't hurt ourselves with turnovers and penalties, I think this offense, with whoever's at quarterback, can go out and do great things. It's just taking away the self-inflicted wounds. And I think Des did a great job all year doing that too. Unfortunately, that some turnovers came in crucial situations, but I think if we're just playing clean football, this offense can do some great things.
How mindful are you of that with turnovers? That is a huge problem, with the offense. How much do you focus on it when you're just trying to go out and do your job? Yeah,
it's something that you definitely have in the back of your mind, but you don't want it to hinder you. You don't want to play conservative or not want to make a throw because you're thinking about it, but again, it really comes at those crucial times where you're in the red zone. Then, especially is in your mind, we have points on the board. Let's not jeopardize that. So again, it's something that's always in the back of your head, but especially in the red zone.
I know you just talked about a minute ago, nothing else matters but Chicago. For you guys to get where you have to take care of business. How much is all that other stuff play? How much is it discussed in the locker room when it comes down to this point in the season? Scenarios?
You really don't hear about it a lot at all. Again, guys we're playing for the playoffs, and we can't make it there unless we win. If we go out there and win the next 2 games and don't get in, okay. But if we're talking about other teams winning and we don't take care of our business, then all that talk is hearsay. So, our biggest concern right now is Chicago.
You being a local, do you have to avoid some people maybe, whether it's friends or maybe family members, who that's all they want to talk about you?
Yeah, there's times where, the last thing I want to talk about after a game is football. And sometimes you get that, and, I'll field questions for 5 minutes, and I'm like, all right, it's over with, So, yeah, there's definitely a fine line there, but I don't also want to be standoffish and not talk about stuff that they want to talk about. So, yeah, there's a good balance there.
I know you were just going to ask about on Sunday. It seemed like every time you guys crossed the 50, you were able to get some points. Was there? So we won't score points, but was there something that maybe clicked with this offense that led to that? Because that hasn't been the case in a lot of games this year.
I think it's what I just said earlier, the self-inflicted wounds. I mean, we don't turn the ball over and we don't hurt ourselves with pre-snap penalties or holdings or stuff like that. As long as we get it to the 30, 35, we feel good with Koo. He's a great kicker. So, again, as long as we don't hurt ourselves, we feel like, we have a good shot of doing stuff in the red zone.
When you look back at the tape, are there areas where you feel like you can improve or get better? I mean, I'm assuming there are, considering you're coming into not perfect circumstances.
Yeah, there was a handful of plays I wish I could have back. Obviously that drop pick right before half was huge because we got 3 points out of that. And maybe trying to get the ball down sooner, get the ball in those playmakers' hands and let them do something with it instead of kind of holding it for another half tick and, the defense has time to rally. So just little things like that I feel I can get better at. But for the most part, I feel like we played a really clean game.
When you go back and watch tape, it seemed like you're very methodical in going through your progressions when you had time to do so. Is that you just being maybe more comfortable with what's being asked of you within the offense, or is that something else?
I think it's something I've learned throughout the year, throughout the years. At the quarterback position, I kind of learned this in college. I've kind of kept it through my career. Is you're not playing the other team, you're playing the playbook. So, your playbook changes every week, and whatever that play tells you to do, and that whatever you see on defense, just play the playbook. So that I've kind of held on to that and just kind of grasp that, and it's helped me. It kind of makes you go through your reads quicker instead of having something in the back of your mind like, oh, I saw this on film, this might happen, and then you hold the ball too long and get sacked. My biggest thing is not holding the ball too long, get the ball in those guys' hands, let them do what they do with it. That's why we drafted in the first round, right? So, again, I feel like I'm more of a point guard, trying to find the open guy, let them do their thing.
Is that part of maybe why you think the offense looked smoother or maybe more in sync this week was because of that understanding of progressions?
Maybe. Again, I was just trying to go out there and complete the ball. Again, we have really good playmakers on our team, on our offense, and when you get the ball in those hands, they make some special things happen. I checked the ball down to Bijan on it's like 2nd and 15, and he makes 2 guys miss and gets a first down. It's huge. You give the ball to John New on a 3rd and 15, and he runs through 2 guys for a first down. It's nothing special I did. I was just giving those guys a chance.
You seem particularly happy that you like checking the ball down. You didn't like it, but that you checked the ball down. Well,
that's kind of like what I was saying. Just play the playbook. If they're getting a bunch of depth, why hold on the ball and try and fit something in that could possibly be disastrous? Then give Bijan the ball and let him do his thing.
But there are times, right, where you do want to get gritty or like take those kind of chunk plays. Like, how do you find those windows and kind of navigate that? Is that like an in the moment based on the look thing? Because in your past you have been aggressive with the ball downfield. How do you negotiate that?
Yeah, well, there's for every good play, there's about 4 or 5 bad plays that come when you're trying to force stuff in there, and there's a time and place for it. Whether it's you're down a couple possessions and you need some scores quick, or whatever the case may be. But fortunately, we weren't really down at all in that game. We were just kind of being very methodical and again playing the playbook and trying to get completions. So it worked out really well for us. But like you said, there's a time and place to try and force stuff downfield and make some plays.
For Chicago standards, I don't think it's going to be ungodly cold if it's in the 30s, but the wind's always a factor. How do you simulate something like that in practice this week when the weather's a lot different here?
Yeah, I don't think you can. I think that game we played in Charlotte a couple weeks ago was probably the closest we'll get to it. It was cold, it was rainy, it was windy, so it's not like we haven't seen it before, and we saw it pretty recently. So, as long as it's not raining like that, I think we'll be fine.
You've played in Chicago before?
I've played there, but I haven't been on the field. I was just on the sideline. Yeah.
Well, but just because that field is so...
It's different.
It's different, especially in this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't sure whether that, even in some kind of what you guys try to do offensively, that ends up playing into it at all.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I just do what we do and go from there.
What insight do you have for your line to Montez?
Montez?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was with him in Washington the last 2 years, and obviously we got to see him earlier this year with Washington. So, you know, this offensive line has seen him 3 times in the last 3 years, about to be a 4th. So I think they know him pretty well. He's a really good player, tall, athletic, makes a lot of plays. So he's going to be a handful, but I'm going to try and find him pregame, tell him not to hit me too hard if he gets a chance. So, yeah.
What about Tremaine in the middle of their defense? I guess him and Edwards are kind of the tacklers over there. How do you kind of try to track what they're trying to do?
So they both came from Buffalo, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're 2 really good players. You know, they've been together for a number of years, so they know what they're doing, and you know, it's a good defense. You know, they're #1 rush defense in the league, and that's not by accident. So you know, they're really good defense, and we have our hands full for sure. Yeah, didn't think we would ever be saying that.
College football weekend, like we talked about before, we're talking about how this is a big football weekend. Obviously, the college football playoff this weekend. We got down to the Final 4. Obviously, we got Michigan against Alabama.
Texas
Washington,
versus Washington.
Texas and Washington. What are your predictions for those games?
I got Washington and Alabama.
Washington and Alabama.
I think the sort of rumors that Michigan hasn't exactly been up to snuff are true. And also Alabama's just been a really hot team lately. They lucked out against Auburn. But sometimes you win the games you don't deserve to.
Could have very easily lost that one. So I'm on the side where I think Alabama is obviously as talented as anyone in the country.
Yes.
But I'm kind of with you. I think they kind of lucked out against Auburn. That was a game they could have lost, an Iron Bowl. And then in the UGA game, I think there were just some funny things working there, right? You got Nick Saban, who obviously for years.
Nick Saban cannot lose in Atlanta.
He just doesn't lose. He doesn't lose there. Obviously, there's the fact there was the Kirby Smart part of things where he been over
cannot
Kirby
lose
Smart
in Atlanta or against his assistants, and he got both.
Right, he got both right there. He doesn't lose in Atlanta, doesn't lose to his assistants. It was the perfect storm for him to come here and take care of business here in Atlanta and beat UGA. I don't think it's going to be as well, I'm not saying it was easy to beat UGA, but I think Michigan provides just a different dynamic. I think Michigan has looked like an express this season. I mean, they've been pretty clean, about as clean as any team in college football from a standpoint of looking like a champion, right? So I think this is the year. I think this is the year where Michigan does what it takes, gets where they need to go, and not only beats Alabama. I'm picking Michigan to win the whole thing.
Are we getting Michigan, Texas?
I'm saying,
is that what you're thinking?
I'm saying Michigan, Washington.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Michigan versus Washington, and I'm picking Michigan to win the whole thing. Just because it just seems like they seem to be the cleanest team of any of these 4 teams left, right? I can find the list. I can find the least amount of things wrong with Michigan. When you look at how they play offensively this year, Harbaugh, they've been through a lot. They've been through a tumultuous season. They've been through missing Harbaugh, the cheating allegations, all those things. And they've just been able to keep their heads above the water and win their games. They beat Ohio State that was a good game. They've taken care of business and done what they needed to do. So I think when you go through those things throughout the course of a season, it builds character.
Yep.
It builds resiliency. And I think that's going to be what Michigan needs to get over the top and win the college football playoff.
We'll see. We'll see, I suppose.
All right. So, obviously, 2023 is coming to an end here. Just in a few short days. What a year it's been in sports in 2023. So, let me ask you, 2023, what do you think was your, I guess, how do we label it, best sports moment of 2023?
Ohtani versus Trout in the World Baseball Classic.
Huh.
Final game, 9th inning. You have the 2 best baseball players in the world going one-on-one.
That's interesting.
And Ohtani wins, sealing the deal for Japan as a closer.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
That's if an alien comes down and asks me to explain baseball, I am showing them that at bat. It is everything baseball needs to be when it's at its best, when it's at its most thrilling.
One of those moments.
It's just one of those moments, and
Okay.
that to me was the best sports moment of the year.
Okay, I'm going for me. I'm going the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA title because I like any time in the NBA. It seems few and far between when you get those smaller markets that have homegrown players and they win an NBA championship, right? So I thought, as a person who comes from a smaller NBA market myself, if I feel really good when those teams win championships. I obviously I'm a Cleveland Cavaliers fan from Cleveland, smaller market. They won the championship in 2016. I was really happy for the Milwaukee Bucks. In 2021, when they got it done and won the championship. And I was also really happy for the Denver Nuggets when they got it done this past year. Everyone wants to play in all these big markets, right? I mean, most people want to play in LA. Lakers get all the players. Clippers get the players. Philly, those places seem Miami. Guys want to play in those markets and in those cities. So whenever a smaller market breaks through and wins a championship, for me, it's a big moment. So I'm going out with my biggest moment of 2023. Now, bold predictions, right? So understand what I mean when I say bold prediction for 2024. I don't just mean like, okay, who's going to win championships or whatever. I mean like something that may or may not happen, but it's conceivable that it could happen, and it's big enough that where it would rock the sports world in 2024. So, Ellie, give me your bold prediction for 2024 on the sports
All right,
side.
this is a bit of a double barrel one.
Okay.
A former Big 12 team will win the SEC, and a former Pac-12 team will win the Big 10.
Interesting. So who would those teams be?
I mean, it could be Texas or Alabama or Oklahoma in the SEC. And I think Washington can pull it off.
Wow.
Next year.
Okay. Is that just like a gut feeling, or is just
It's a gut feeling.
Okay. So I tell you what. So for my bold prediction of 2024, and I know this bold prediction won't make a lot of people happy, right?
Oh boy.
I'm predicting. Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Here we go.
No. It depends on how you look at it. I'm going for my bold prediction in 2024 to be this will be the last season for LeBron James playing basketball, right? I know everyone says he wants to play with his son next year, Bronny. That may have come off the rails a little bit with Bronny having his medical situation, so we don't know what's going to happen with that. Pray for the best for that. But I just think that as you get to this point with LeBron James, I think he's in year 21 right now, right?
Yep.
So if they fall short this year...
I don't think I remember an NBA without LeBron James.
Right, so it's going to be crazy for a lot of people. But I just think we're at that point now where if you're LeBron James, he's about to be 39 years old. Well, I think tomorrow he turns 39 years old. So you're looking at him and what he's done so far. I just wonder as you get older, does he want to be there more front and center for his two boys who are also basketball players? Doesn't he want to follow Bronny's career and be there for a lot of those games? And whereas right now he has his own schedule and his own games, he gets to those games as much as he can, but it's probably a hassle at this point. So you just wonder at what point does he want to just sit back, be a proud papa, watch Bronny play, watch Brycey play because he's also a really good player too, and just sort of just sit back and follow his kids' careers at some point. And I think if they fall short of a championship this season, I know last year he gave it thought, and like people who cover sports always say, people around sports say, when you're thinking about retirement, mentally you're probably retired.
Yeah.
And he thought about it last year when they lost in the conference finals to the Denver Nuggets when they got swept. So I think if they fall short this year, especially if they fall short in kind of ugly fashion, I expect 2024, in my bold prediction, to be the final year of basketball for LeBron James.
What's on your mind really quickly of like 30 seconds?
Nothing much. Just Happy New Year, everybody. It's been a really fun 2023, been a great 2023, and I just want to wish everybody Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. For me, it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl and this image of the edible mascot just getting destroyed with like one eye and it looks like it's been mauled by a bear.
I didn't expect that.
Happy New Year. Do not get mauled by a bear where you're out and about. See you next time.
Happy New Year.